Welcome to the 2022 Worldcast. We have a special letter from the Governor of New Jersey addressing this group and collection of people from all around the world. Dear friends, I'm very pleased to welcome everyone gathered for the Worldcast 2020 Summit for High School Students on local environmental problems presented by the Silvio Lassetti Foundation, the Meadowlands Conservation Center, and New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority. Your continued support for environmental awareness has fostered groundbreaking initiatives. This unprecedented summit about Worldcast on environmental problems is the first of its kind and promises to be an important part of the future for environmental education. The communication and interaction of students with peers from all over the world in real time is the defining hallmark of Worldcast. As we work together to achieve a common goal towards conserving the environment, sharing your voices and experiences is extremely pivotal on making this movement a success. Continue to do your best at creating awareness and making choices that benefit the earth. I would like to thank Beckton Regional High School, Watchung Valley High School, and Point Pleasant Borough High School for presenting today, along with the Alumni Association of Ca' Foscari, University of Venice, for providing the Zoomcast platform. Congratulations for a successful summit, and I wish all participants continued good luck. My very best, Philip D. Murphy, Governor of the State of New Jersey. Next, I would like to introduce Vincent Prieto, President and CEO of New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority.
Good morning, everybody. It's with great honor and pleasure to welcome everybody to the New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority. The NJSCA is very proud to host Worldcast 2022 and welcome also Beckton Regional High School to our facility. We have many issues that we'll be facing in the coming years in the Meadowlands, especially the effects of climate change and sea rise. The NJSCA's scientific arm, the Meadowlands Research and Restoration Institute, actually works very hard in the district to keep all our wetlands healthy. I invite all of you to check our website at njsca.com to learn a little bit more about it. I want to just take a special moment to thank Dr. Silvio Lassetti for setting up this great event and bring it to my attention, and we were able to host it. I think it's so important. It engages students in environmental science and tasks, and it will harvest the future environmentalists. For you are our future, and our future needs young, bright minds like yours to come here and have this discussion that is so important to our whole world. With that said, I want to introduce Dr. Silvio Lassetti.
Thank you, Vincent. Thank you for those encouraging words. Well, again, welcome. I think the first thing I can say is get ready for an amazing ride. We're going to do things that haven't been done before, and you're all in for an exciting and exhilarating experience. Worldcast is presented by my foundation in cooperation with so many individuals that I really can't name them, and you're some of them. here in the audience at Beckton, but they're all around the world where they put in their time. This year, Worldcast presents a global summit for high school students to make presentations on significant environmental problems which are found in their home areas. For the first time, high school students will share research and learn from each other. That's different. You'll learn about the most serious environmental problems in your own backyards. And who better to present these things than you who live with them every day? You see what the Meadowlands is, or you see the canals of Venice or the Brazilian rainforest. This is obviously the key hallmark of the program. And you'll present your research without the jargon, without the political platitudes or the preconceptions that we often hear these things couched in when we listen to the academic programs on TV, let alone the newscasts. Let me highlight the uniqueness of Worldcast. As I said, direct familiarity with the problems is a hallmark of what we do. More than that, the problems we've chosen are emblematic of what's going on in the world today. They are the most crucial of the environmental problems that we face. And yeah, you're living in them and you're going to report on them. First, and in no particular order here, the Brazilian rainforest will be a big topic coming up later. Second, the polar ice caps. We all know that they're getting hotter. A New York Times article indicated 10 degrees warmer in Antarctica and 8 degrees warmer in the North Pole at this time of year, the most recent readings. Third, Venice, Italy, which is my love for the city got me into doing all of these things. Venice is a model for rebuilding and resuscitating urban life amidst many, many problems, most of which we don't have in full because they're on islands and water and cargo ships and tourist ships that crash into their buildings. They've got problems. And so they're the poster child for resuscitating urban environments. We call that ecoculture. And you'll hear that in the next address. And finally, the problem of megacities. These are the giant urban sprawls like New York that run from Boston down to Washington and in other countries where the cities just keep growing and growing and growing. But what do you do when you have open land, like the Meadowlands? Does the city come here? Will you all eventually be living in high rises and driving in Manhattan-like traffic? I did that this morning just to get here. I live only a little bit away from you. So we feature real-time, face-to-face learning. For example, if you want to learn about New York City's metro area, which I just mentioned, and you want to see open space versus the city, well, a couple of our students are right outside, and they'll show you with a cell phone camera and a link, just what it looks like. You don't have to have any other prompt for your mind. We have the real thing. Same thing with the rainforest. Somebody will talk to you and tell you what it's like to live there. I don't think anybody's in the rainforest at this particular juncture. So this immediacy and personalization of learning is unheard of, but it is what we do. I think this will become a major component of education in the future, handling many, many more topics, and bringing them home from anywhere in the world to your classroom. This Worldcast provides the opportunity for linkages and proactivity for students to become involved in their local situations. Our next speaker, Cunningham, a Duke University student and former Bergen County student, will lay out the parameters for our topics, citing the Davos Convention, which probably none of you know much about, relating to sustainability and ecoculture, and presenting an action plan for audiences to use going forward. So like I say, get ready for a very special experience, something you'll remember quite a while, and you'll share with your admission counselors when you apply for college. We begin, and I hope this works, with a brief message of encouragement for Connor from a Duke University alumnus. So Venice, calling Venice, if you're ready with the video, please show it.
What's up? This is Daniel Jones, quarterback for the New York Giants. Just want to say congratulations to all the students participating in the Environmental Education Worldcast. Want to give a special shout out to Connor Cunningham, Duke guy. Congratulations on this event. You're an inspiring group of young leaders, and your work needs to be heard. We appreciate all that you do. Go Giants.
Another brief, encouraging word from Anna Valeria Guazzieri, who is the New York City Consular Education Officer and who has worked with me for like the beginning of this thing. Anna Valeria.
Thank you, Silvia. Good morning, everyone. And thank you all the participants. We have 45 people connected. This is a huge number. And as Silvia said, we've been working on this from the start. And Silvia's love for Venice was the engine who started everything. And initially, we were more focused on the city of Venice and all the problems that Venice is facing. But Venice is also a symbol for the rest of the world, and that's why we and Silvio and myself, we all thought, it would be wonderful to reach out to different countries, different schools, and make it, a worldcast rather than just a tri-state experience or a Venice experience. So today, thank you to Ca' Foscari. Ca' Foscari is the University of Venice, where languages and economics are taught, and also other subjects. We are here to look at your personal experiences and the environment, and to build a global awareness together. And so without further ado, I would leave you the floor, but I'd like to point out that there are many schools connected which have Italian as a world language. So I would like to say thank you to all the schools where Italian is taught, and any other world language, because languages take you to the rest of the world and allow you to understand and comprehend different cultures and different ways of life. Thank you so much, and good luck.
Thank you, Anna Valeria. Thank you. And next, Venice we call for Connor Cunningham, who is on campus of Duke University. Let's have that roll.
Thank you, Silvio. Hi, everyone. My name is Connor Cunningham, and I'm a freshman at Duke University. I am extremely excited to be a part of this today. I first want to thank everyone for participating and take a moment to recognize all the students for their effort in the presentations, as well as Daniel Jones for his shout out. And I'd also like to give a huge thanks to the Silvio Lassetti Foundation and Dr. Lassetti himself for putting this Worldcast together. This represents a tremendous opportunity for young people to get involved in what is perhaps the most important issue of our time: quality of the environment. So I'd like to begin by talking a little bit about how I got involved with my own project, and then go on to talk about how you can do the same. So in September 2019, I became aware that the pond in my hometown, I lived in Glen Rock, New Jersey, was suffering from a harmful algae bloom. This occurs when algae grow out of control, so much so that they deplete the oxygen in the water and kill wildlife that lives within. algae blooms can destroy entire ecosystems, and they're caused by an overabundance of nutrients in the water, largely from fertilizer runoff. I was saddened when I came to learn about this and inspired to found the nonprofit organization Friends of New Jersey Ponds, which is dedicated to the removal of toxic algae in New Jersey's waterways. Through my nonprofit, I partnered with a company that provides a novel algae removal technology and then raised the necessary $13,000 to cover the cost of the project. I put together a team of volunteers who are also passionate about the issue, recruiting them from local high school clubs and environmental organizations within my town. After a few months of treatment, the pond was completely rehabilitated. For my work, I was recognized by the Silvio Lassetti Foundation, which sparked a collaboration between myself and Dr. Lassetti's foundation on issues outside of the one I had been working on. These were issues of international importance, such as the degradation of the Venice environment from cruise ships. After this, we decided to create an outline for how other young people could become involved with issues related to the environment, and thus drafted the Venice Charter for Youth. This document, which all of you have been provided with, declares the responsibility of members of younger generations to get involved in working towards a sustainable future, where the quality of the environment is a priority. It describes the problem we have regarding the deterioration of our cities and the environment, with an emphasis on preserving our culture. It defines the concept of ecoculture, which is the human changes that shape the natural environment. The document serves to demonstrate the importance of future environmental and cultural sustainability and acts as a version of the Davos Declaration, which some of you may be familiar with, except targeted towards younger people. We then created another document to provide tangible ways in which people can get involved, called the Venice Charter for Youth Action Plan, which you all have also been provided with. Most people know that we need to do something about the condition of the environment, but the reason for which progress is seldom made is that people often don't know what to do. This document seeks to remedy that issue by providing specific activities in which people can make an impact, such as undertaking service projects like my own, signing petitions, or even simply educating oneself about the issue, to name a few. Through these activities, several of which are excellently exemplified by the students in their upcoming presentations, together we can make a difference in the environment. Thank you, and I would now like to introduce the students from Beckton High School.
Thank you. Beckton, your turn.
Hello, everyone. I'm from Beckton Regional High School, part of the Italian class here today. Thanks for having me, guys. Buongiorno, signori e signora. Come state? Potete vedere? So we're introducing the Meadowlands and transitions from 1896 and how we can save the landscape by conserving and not releasing lots of chemicals into the land.
So if you aren't familiar with the Meadowlands, we have the American Dream Mall, the Meadowlands Racetrack, the MetLife Stadium, which hosts our American football, medieval times dinner and tournament, and our own school, Henry P. Beckton Regional High School. As you can see from the items in the chart, wetlands make up the most acreage in the Meadowlands. The Meadowlands was formed by the Wisconsin Glacier that was created from an ice age 20,000 years ago. The Meadowlands contains many big landfills, and this is how the name Meadowlands came to be. The Hackensack Meadowlands is the largest brackish estuary complex in New York and New Harbor.
So this is a map from 1896. It's one of the first recorded maps of the Meadowlands. As you can see, there's very little disturbance in the area. There's like not a lot of transit lines, not a lot of things going through it, not a lot of like industry or stuff. And then there's a lot of green. And here's a more recent map from 2003. As you can see, there's plenty of more transit lines and just like stuff that was built over it. So previously, the area was comprised of more than 21,000 acres of waterways and wetlands, but now there's only about 5,800 acres of wetlands that remain.
Some local conservation efforts of the Meadowlands include shutting down chemical processing plants, constructing a new sewer line to minimize river pollution, and permanently preserving land for protected species. Some government conservation efforts taken to preserve the Meadowlands are a $1.5 million trust dedicated to the well-being of the Meadowlands and its employees, and the removal of over 1 million liters of toxic waste.
These are just some of our hopes. Okay. These are just some of our future hopes for the Meadowlands area. We want to promote awareness, provide educational programming, make sure that we can develop both businesses and the environment in the area, so we can support the economic development and the leadership of new entrepreneurs. There's a lot of new buildings that we plan to construct in the area, like Meadowlands Convention Center at the sports complex, which is going to give us an even bigger platform to promote the environmental awareness of the area. And now I'd like to pass it over to my friend to present a closer look at the outside of the
Hey guys, it's Allison and Jose. And we're gonna give you a closer look at the Meadowlands because we're here. It's like behind us. So it's like here. You can see all the water. You can see New York City from like here. And there's like a balcony here. All right, I hope you guys can hear me now, but we'll show you guys the view from here. And there's a lot of like water, and you can see New York from here. You can see it over there, all the way over there. From the map.
Yeah, and before, from the maps from the 1800s, it was shown that there's like not really any human interference, but as you can see now, there's a few more roads in the back, showing how much we've progressed throughout the years.
Okay, thank you, and we hope you guys enjoyed our presentation.
Amazing.
Thank you, Becton Regional. We love the presentation. That was an amazing overview of the Meadowlands, a place that's near and dear to my heart and has always been in my backyard. Next, I would like to introduce pollution problems in the Novara region of Italy. Thank you.
Good afternoon to everyone from Novara. I don't know what time is in the USA. Next time we will have even New Zealand, a colleague from Auckland. Today she's not with us because she got Omicron, and so she's not very well. Our problem is that of having an airport which is called Malpensa, which is a very big airport in the neighborhood of Milan. Milan has two airports, Linate and Malpensa. And I'm living near Malpensa, so I can tell you some dates about the air pollution and other problems and vegetables pollution here in this area. We have different citizenship association which are involved since 1980 in these problems. And the very big problem is that the society which has Malpensa don't take into account the voice of this association. So there's not a so-called table around it. The different people are sitting and they can discuss the problems of the airport. So there's no a so-called civic engagement which is recognized by the so-called stakeholders, airport stakeholders. So these citizens have made a lot of manifestations, a lot of media contacts, engage people to discuss the problem of the airport. And they have recognized that the airport doesn't take care of the master plan 2020 and 2035, and even the so-called European Union RALs. The number is 139 and is dated 2014. So which are the big problems here in our area? Noise, above all, noise. Vegetables pollution, as soon as a flower grows up, it becomes yellow. I mean, a white flower becomes yellow, and other similar problems. We hope that in the next time we'll have something better, a more engagement from the stakeholders, from the airport stakeholders, but it's a very long strike between citizens and airport people. This is only a message. The next time we will have something more detailed, because I'm just in this day, I got in touch with the different associations and they will send to me all the specific details about the different rates of emissions, of pollutions emissions. I'm really very happy to greet you and to wish you a new engagement for our world. And even I will give you to you a peace message, because here in Europe we have a very, very difficult time in these days. And now I will introduce Matteo Bolognini, which will speak about water. Greetings to all.
Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. I'm Matteo Bolognini, and I'm going to speak about a very big problem in our area, that is groundwater pollution. And I think that the best way to start is watching my video that explains how groundwater pollution occurs.
What is an aquifer? The aquifer is a water deposit between the layers of soil that is created from meteoric precipitation. The water filters through the soil until it reaches impermeable layers, where it settles. These basins of water can be stationary or in motion, and their waters can be used through wells, therefore as a water supply. In fact, they give origin to the sources. They are also an important resource for the vegetation that, thanks to the radical system, is able to feed. However, when pollutants encounter these water deposits, pollution of groundwater occurs. There are 1.5 billion liters of water on our planet. The 97% of this is salt water from the seas, and only the 3% from fresh water, which also includes groundwater. However, waters are not all the same, but they differ for several factors that can be physical, so temperature, color, turbidity, chemical, so for example salts, gases, and chemical content, or biological, so the presence of microorganisms. Okay, so now we know what is an aquifer, but how is groundwater pollution occurring? The harmful materials are absorbed by the soil and filtered to the groundwater. Some of the materials that cause groundwater pollution are definitely pesticides and fertilizers for agriculture, landfill of waste, industrial discharges, sewers, blackwell and sewage sludge, lead, arsenic and nitrates. But not all substances reach the aquifer because a key role is played by soil that acts as a filter. However, this depends on the type of chemical material, the depth of the aquifer, and the type of soil. According to a 2018 article, Italian groundwater is among the most polluted in Europe. A report by the European Environment Agency reveals that only 58% of Italian groundwater is in good condition. There are several types of pollution that can contaminate water. So there is the civil, which derives from the discharges of cities. Then there is the industrial, therefore with substances that depend on industrial and agricultural production due to the use of fertilizers and pesticides. Although there are different types of pollution, all can compromise the health of both flora and fauna, and at the same time that of man. However, the substances can reach the water in two ways. Directly, so they are thrown directly into the water without any treatment, or indirectly, where substances enter water by air or soil. But what are the main pollutants? First of all, there are the fecal pollutants, which are also the most common and derive from animal excrement. With this type of pollution, pathogenic microorganisms such as salmonellosis or viral hepatitis will be in the water. Another type of pollutants are toxic inorganic substances. These substances derive from heavy metal ions and can lead to poisoning and death. These materials can be, for example, zinc, copper, or mercury, and come from the processing of industries. Therefore, before being discharged, they must be disposed of through particular plants. However, there are materials such as lead that do not derive from the processing of industries, but from the houses of many years ago that contained lead-based paints. Another cause of groundwater pollution may be harmful inorganic substances, which consist mainly of phosphates present in fertilizers and detergents. This type of substances, if they reach the aquifer, cause eutrophication, which leads to the consumption of considerable quantities of oxygen. Then there are the non-natural organic substances, which can be, for example, herbicides or insecticides that help in agriculture but damage water, both those on the surface and those underground. Then there are free oils or emulsifiers, which are very dangerous because, being insoluble, they stratify on the surface and prevent oxygen from solubilizing them in water. Other pollutants are acids or strong bases, which also derive from industrial discharge and alter the pH of the environment, leading to alteration or even the disappearance of living species.
We know how is groundwater pollution occurring, but I believe that, like all the problem, the most complicated part is obviously to find a solution. The issues that my generation is facing were created by past generation, but as Julius Caesar said, il da detractor in English, the die is cast, so that means it has been done. However, I think that the most beautiful part of our life is exactly the fact that we can change our future to improve ourselves and our society. And we can still fix what people before us did wrong, but we need to collaborate. So I ask myself, what can I do to reduce pollution, both on the surface and those underground? And this is the question that I would like to ask to all of you. But I probably found some solution that could improve the situation. So, for instance, I could replace chemical detergents from natural detergents, such as those based on lemon or white vinegar, in order to prevent highly polluting substances from reaching underground water through the waste basins. Or I can replace a lot of objects, such as the plastic bottles with glass bottles to limit the spreading of plastic in the seas and prevent fish from eating microplastics. Or I can, for example, buy a flask instead of taking a plastic bottle so that I reuse it more than once. Or I can replace plastic bags with fabric bags. Or in the case of a garden, I think that it is advisable to use only natural fertilizers and herbicides. In addition, you can buy biological food to promote soil fertility and do not use chemicals such as pesticides and herbicides. And also this product, if bought at kilometer zero, help the ecosystem even more because they are not transported and so consequently they pollute less. So in conclusion, I think that with a few tweaks, we can help to improve our planet and our way of life, making our home a safer and greener place. And we are also the leader of tomorrow, so it is up to us to solve all those environmental problems. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matteo and Gabriela. Greatly appreciate that wonderful presentation. Next in our program, I would like to introduce Point Pleasant, New Jersey tourism, over tourism, and eco-cultural preservation. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Buongiorno. We have a video to present. This is my Italian 5 class. And so we're all together here and we hope that you enjoy this. This is our home and a lot of people come to visit here, but of course they sometimes leave pieces of them behind. So we want you to see what we see at our Jersey Shore. Beatrice, per favore.
For decades, the Jersey Shore has been known as a top tourist spot due to its amazing beaches, amusement parks, water sports, boardwalks, and restaurants. But this popular vacation spot is being threatened by numerous environmental factors, such as litter, pollution, and climate change. All are factors in the destruction of our environment on both a global and local scale. My name is Noelle.
And I'm Marissa.
And today we bring you a breaking story about our environment and how it is being destroyed.
Specifically on a local scale, over-tourism, overfishing, as well as regular pollution and climate change all play a major role in the demolition of the ecosystems in and around the Jersey Shore.
The reality TV show, Jersey Shore, brought a lot of exposure to Point Pleasant and the surrounding towns, bringing attention to its nightlife scene and drawing young people and partygoers from all over. And it could be argued that this exposure was both a good and bad thing. According to the Ocean Signal, the show originally ran from 2009 to 2012 and is directly responsible for a 20% increase in beach and parking fees, resulting in a $400,000 estimated revenue increase.
On the other hand, the show fixated a lot on a lot of the trashy aspects of the party culture, and though tourism has greatly impacted our economy, it also led to a lot of new problems, which is over-tourism. In the summer, which is the peak of tourism, local beaches, restaurants, and attractions become overcrowded, and local hotels and rental properties are fully booked. Tourists may bring a lot of money in for local business, but they end up overpopulating the area, causing damage to the environment. For example, there's more litter and pollution in the towns and beaches, and the beaches start to erode at a faster rate.
That's another harmful factor that could have on the environment, beach erosion. The main type, natural erosion, is caused by strong winds, waves, and weather that move the beach, but erosion could also be caused by pollution and climate change.
And with beaches eroding away, this could lead to problems like rising water, sea levels, and flooding.
To see firsthand how our local environment is impacted by these issues, we have Sarah on the scene. Sarah?
Thanks guys, I'm here at Bay Head Beach. Litter isn't the only type of pollution that's affecting our ecosystems. Air and water pollution, mainly caused by gas-powered cars and boats, cause less oxygen to be present in the water. In fact, the entire Jersey Shore has been designated as impaired for dissolved oxygen by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, which will potentially cause harm to sea life. This is just a small area of our town. Just think of how bad this could get during summer, peak tourism season all over the world. To hear a bit more about how the fishing industry and overfishing it could be hurting our environment, I'll throw it over to Sean at the inlet.
Thanks, Sarah. I'm here at the inlet, a popular spot for fishing for both industrial fishermen and hobbyists. Point Pleasant can be described as a textbook example of a traditional fishing community existing in harmony with the surrounding tourist-dependent businesses. According to local fishing boat captain Arthur Arsh, new regulations and restrictions on gear have prevented overfishing, causing his boat to bring in about 50,000 pounds of fish less than in years prior. Also, according to Danny Mears Jr. and Manuel Viana, an avid fisherman since 1979, the regulations of the amount of fish and weight of said fish keep going up all the time. This means that overfishing has been less of an issue as of late, but these new, more lax regulations could increase the risks, proved by the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission, reporting a 34% decrease in the population of New Jersey's most popular sport fish, summer flounder. I've been Sean reporting from the inlet. Back to Noelle and Marissa in the studio.
To learn more about the exact environmental impacts, we sat down to talk with Point Pleasant Borough High School science teacher, Ms. Vassar, to discuss.
What do you think are the biggest environmental issues in our area or the Jersey Shore in general?
I think that one of the biggest issues that we have is beach erosions and the problems that we have with constantly having to replenish our beaches. There's a natural cycle that the planet has with eating away at the beaches and redepositing sand that we're constantly battling. And there's a lot of negative things that go along with fixing that problem for our tourism that we like to depend on.
What are some of the solutions or steps that have been taken locally to help solve or prevent these issues from causing more damage?
So we do sometimes get bad storms that will come and take a lot of the sand off the beaches. So what we end up doing are dredging our beaches to bring the sand in from offshore and depositing up on the beach to lengthen the beaches. The problem with that is there are a lot of things that are being negatively affected. The bottom of the ocean floor, the bottom of the ocean isn't just a desert. So by dredging that sand up, we are, number one, mixing around the sand, but also preventing anything from possibly growing there that could be growing there. So being that we're constantly doing that, we like to think of that as an actual solution when it probably isn't the best thing that we could be doing for the environment.
And do you have any conservation ideas for yourself or locally that could be implemented to make a difference?
So our beaches, there's a lot of pros and cons to why we do the dredging. Obviously, where we live by the beach, the summer economy is very dependent on having nice beaches. So it's one of those things that we have to decide what's best and even take some of those cons into play. One of the things that we can do is after those dredgings occur is having things like beach cleanups and beach sweeps to help to clean up any debris that could have been brought up. We do have those a lot, or a good amount in the area, so that they are constantly trying to clean up any trash and things like that that they could be finding, and preventing that from getting into the ocean, because trash is another big problem in the ocean. It's not terrible around here, but it is a problem throughout the world.
Thank you, Ms. Vassar.
Although tourism negatively impacts our environment, tourism is one of the driving factors of our local economy.
According to the 2020 Tourism Report, using data collected from the summer of 2019, approximately 116 million tourists visited the Jersey Shore and spent a total of $46.4 billion, a 3.8% increase from the previous data collected, and accumulated about $5.1 billion in taxes.
Additionally, the tourism industry helps to employ approximately 300,000 people in New Jersey, according to the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. Shore tourism may hurt the environment, but it is also contributes to the state's economy as well as provides income for the portion of the population.
To gain more insight in how tourism impacts both the environment and our economy, we sat down with Paul Knitra, Mayor of Point Pleasant Beach, and Joseph H. Vicari, Commissioner of the Ocean County, New Jersey.
Well, so in Point Pleasant Beach, we go from about a year-round population of 4,500 people to, on a busy day in the summer, we have 50,000 plus in our town. And that creates a tremendous amount of trash, a tremendous amount of congestion, and a bunch of different problems that we need to mitigate. Especially, people come from all over the place and they don't necessarily know our rules or our guidelines. Depending on where you come from, you don't even necessarily share our priorities. But what's important in Point Pleasant Beach and keeping our residents happy is what we kind of need to lead with. So making sure that we're on top of the trash, making sure that we're on top of the crime, making sure that we're being proactive to keep a handle on the situation. That all is very important and involves a lot of resources and planning and things like that. So trash is a huge problem in Point Pleasant Beach in the summertime. We have right there at our main parking lot, right at the Arnold Avenue, foot of Arnold Avenue and the boardwalk, is our Little Silver Lake, and it's our Little Silver Lake parking lot. And on the summer, over the last bunch of years before we had come into office, trash in that area and in the reeds where the birds and marine life all live had gotten worse and worse and worse, and trash in the parking lot had gotten worse and worse and worse. And then trash on the boardwalk and on the beach had really gotten worse. So I think the first thing you need to do to tackle a problem is, like anything, you need to recognize that there is a problem, and you need to explain to all the interested parties that there's a problem. So so we went out and we had listened to the residents for a long time before that, and they were really getting upset about it. And we talked with the boardwalk. And we initially, look, sometimes you talk and the situation doesn't fully resolve itself. So we tried to really get involved. We went up on the boardwalk ourselves, and every week I was walking up on the boardwalk and on the beach and taking photos myself and trying to document the problems. And once we kind of had everybody agreeing, here's what the problems are, we decided to put some ordinances in place to crack down on that. One of the largest problems, and it's tough when you're looking at a beach community, the problems were happening overnight, right? People were coming onto the boardwalk, and then at night, after the badge checkers went home and after the beach badge sales ended, they were going and having impromptu parties on the beach and leaving all their garbage behind. So we would always find rings of trash in the mornings, and these had hours and hours to blow into the ocean and to pollute the waters and to pollute the dunes and pollute our environment. And we needed to do something about it. So we passed beach ordinances that limited the size of coolers so that people could actually bring less disposable trash onto the beach. Disposable trash is such a huge thing. We have Clean Ocean Action does beach sweeps on our beaches all the time. And the number one thing is you're pulling up plastic straws, you're pulling up plastic bags, at least a couple of years back. Now since we've put some of these bans in place too, which we also banned some single-use plastics, and New Jersey's taken some steps and done that too, that problem has gotten mitigated as well.
During the summer, how do you manage to keep all the beaches and the towns just healthy, because all the tourists coming in from up north, down south?
We have the most oceanfront property in the state, 44 miles. That's where most of our money comes from. Most of the taxes I told you about, 65% waterfront, ocean, and Barnegat Bay. And what we do, we work with the towns and the state, and we make sure we strictly enforce it. We fought against anything to do with ocean dumping many years ago, drilling oil wells, or anything in the ocean. We're totally against that. We want it as pristine as before. The quality of water in our bays, when I first came in the 1960s, is clean today. And what? We have a centralized storage system. They don't dump anything into the waterways. We're very, very careful, even with stormwater. So what we do also is we protect the environment, number one. What the cost is, the environment is always protected. The 44 miles of ocean, Barnegat Bay, one of the 28 natural estuaries in the United States of America. We protect that immensely. Very, very important to us. And we know it. But you know what it is too? We have a lot of local volunteers that watch what's going on. For example, storm drains. Now, if you're going to change the oil in your car one time, you can't dump it in a storm drain. You can't dump wastewater in a storm drain. And we tell people, you know, when you walk the dog, don't close the storm drain. You have to clean the streets and everything else. And that's what we do. We have a special unit that cleans out the storm drains. Because if it goes in the storm drain, it doesn't go into sanitary sources. It goes out into the bays and lagoons and everything else. And we're very, very careful with that too. The local police we work with, very, very careful with them too. So we don't do that. So that's one of the things. And people have conditions to take care of the environment. You realize how important it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of like jobs and programs early in the morning, especially too, like at the beaches, cleaning it and stuff.
And you know, and we say anything, we take care of it immediately. The local towns do a great job,
they
especially
do a
Point
great
Pleasant Beach, the Borough, Seaside Heights, Seaside Park, all the way down the whole strip, and that's off the Bay Head. And also we put the dunes in right after Superstorm. The dunes, grass, very important. And on the beach, you know, if someone throws a bottle of rain in the ocean, people go crazy. You know, it's bad. You know, I mean, you're just not going to do it. Or you see someone flipping the butt out the car window. I mean, people will break up. You're not going to say it. Or have a cup of coffee. You finish the coffee and throw it away. Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore. Did it happen at one time? Yeah. So you can't have a cup of coffee and throw it away out the window. Just lay down on the street. Not going to happen.
It's really fascinating to see how tourism can impact our daily lives both negatively and positively.
Exactly, which is why it's so difficult for us to come up with solutions to fix the problem without affecting others. In some cases, there are no solutions.
There are even ways tourists can help out to slow the damage being done to the environment by traveling in smaller groups and by visiting less commonly visited or overpopulated attractions and locations. Tourists will be doing their part in protecting the local ecosystems as well as having a more authentic vacation experience, connecting with the people and the culture of the Jersey Shore. Although this will be a good way to start making changes, the government and local authorities also need to find better ways of dealing with the effect of tourists. Regardless of whether you're a tourist or local, the most important effort to be taken is becoming educated on how to keep our home safe and clean.
In cases like air pollution, there are things we can do to slow the negative impacts it has, like burning less fossil fuels, driving electric cars instead of gas-powered ones, and conserving our energy consumption. But there's nothing we can do that totally eliminates it as a threat.
And with litter, there's no way we can pick up every single piece of trash on the streets and in the ocean, mostly because it would end up there or in a landfill again anyway. But we can recycle and reuse recyclable alternatives to things we use every day.
Even local restaurants have started to help out this cause by using paper or plant-based biodegradable straws to lower their impact on our ocean. In New Jersey, we even have a law that says businesses can't give customers plastic straws if they don't specifically ask for it.
There are even some laws in place that protect our beaches. For example, you can only bring a certain size cooler to the beach to prevent the amount of trash that could possibly be left there. Even littering itself is illegal. There's even a ban on floats and other flotation devices usage in the ocean to decrease the amount of plastic that ends up polluting the water. The state also monitors the bacteria level of the ocean's water to make sure it's still safe for everyone to swim in.
These are some small steps in the right direction to start making a difference in our community. To learn how the students at Point Pleasant Borough High School currently work towards achieving our goal of a cleaner environment, we sat down with the Eco Club president, Thea Merritt, to talk more about it.
Why did you start this club in the first place?
So I just wanted to do something to protect our local environment and do our part to contribute to the overall world of helping keep the world be a cleaner place.
What do you think is the biggest threat to our environment on a local scale and a global scale?
Locally, I definitely think it's more like litter and like recycling is the biggest problem for us around here. And then for more of a global scale, I think it's more like companies and like larger factories and their contribution to overall pollution and waste that they're creating through their products. And yeah.
So what does the Eco Club do to help this problem, and what can our generation do to help the environment as a whole?
So we are doing a couple projects currently. We're doing things like cleanups, like park and beach cleanups. We're advocating for recycling in our school and our community. And we're raising awareness for the effects of littering and pollution around just everywhere. Just raising awareness is also a thing that everybody can do to help. Getting into more of what everybody can do to help, they can recycle and reuse things at home themselves, as well as finding products that can like last them for a long time to reduce waste within their own household.
And with that, we hope you've gained a new perspective on the Jersey Shore and how we are doing our part to lessen our negative environmental impacts. To most, the Jersey Shore may just be a vacation spot or a setting to their favorite reality show, but to us, it's our home, and that makes it our job to protect it, so we, as well as future generations, will have to clean our oceans that we swim in and beaches we visit.
That's all the time we have for today. We hope you guys watching learned something about how tourism affects our environment and are inspired to make some changes. I'm Noelle.
And I'm Marissa, reminding you to save the environment and save our future.
Thank you very much, Stacy and Point Pleasant. We really appreciated that well put together presentation. Next on our program, I would like to introduce Ana Valeria, and the program will be the Waste Disposal in New York City and Venice, a tale of two cities. Thank you, Ana Valeria.
Yes, I'm here just really to introduce Professor Andrea Minardi and his classes at Scuola d'Italia Guglielmo Marconi. Scuola d'Italia is a small school, it's a bilingual school in New York City, and it is attended by Italian Americans and an international community. And they researched New York and Venice, and let's see what they want to tell us. Take a listen.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us. I'm so glad to be here this morning with you. I let the stage to our two students, Morgan Rose and Georgia, and I'm asking if you can allow us to share the screen, if it's possible, so we can. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Share. Here you are.
Hi, good morning, everyone. As Professor Minardi said, I'm Morgan Rose, and this is my classmate Georgia, representing La Scuola d'Italia Guglielmo Marconi's 10th grade students. And so we'd really like to thank you for having us here today, and in particular, the Lancetti Foundation. And so in general, this is the topic that we researched, which is waste management and pollution in New York and Venice. Okay, so as we all know, waste management and pollution are two very important issues that affect most areas of the world, and in particular, the two representative cities of New York and Venice. We chose to focus on these two cities since our is a multicultural class composed both of Italian and American students. So we deepened and analyzed different topics around these general themes. But in order to compare the two cities, we should really look at some data. So as we all know, New York is much bigger than Venice, both in population and in the area of the city. For example, it has a population that is roughly about 9 million people, while Venice only has a population of about 0.3 million people. And also the size of the city is much bigger. New York City is almost 3 times Venice. Consequently, also the amount of waste, the produced waste is much higher. But the surprising data is that the production per capita is pretty much the same. So to start our meetings in our organization, we organized ourselves into 6 groups of 3 people with at least 1 Italian exchange student and 1 New Yorker. So we decided on our general topic of waste management and pollution in these 2 cities. And from that, we each created a research question on a subtopic. From these keywords from our research questions, we researched data and made sure to check the credibility of all our sources by researching the authors and their scientific presence in different fields. From this data, we compiled different papers, and then finally, using our paper, we organized an oral presentation such as this one. The our subtopics for our presentations were mostly related to organic waste, plastic waste, and water pollution.
Okay, so the first topic we are going to talk about is the connection, the possible connection between the organic waste management and the amount of rape population. So at the beginning, we really thought there was a strict connection between these two data, but as we can see from these maps, there's actually no strict connection. Instead, we found out there are two other very important factors, which are gentrification and social disparities. As we can see in some neighborhoods, such as Harlem and the Upper West Side in Manhattan, and in general in Brooklyn, the areas with the highest rate of rat complaint correspond pretty much to the areas with the highest rate of gentrification and social disparities.
The second topic we focused on is the impact of plastic waste management in New York and Venice. And so we started by seeing what type of waste gets recycled and what happens to the waste that does not get recycled. So in general, 55% of Venice's plastic waste does get recycled, and about 20% of New York's total waste is recycled. The rest of this waste will either get sent to landfills or end up in the water surrounding the cities, which is what this table represents. It's a concentration of microplastics in the Venetian lagoon. So we concluded that landfills, water pollution, and the rate of recycling in the two cities have the largest effect on the ecosystem.
Also talking about plastic, as we know, PET is the most common type of plastic we pretty much use every day. And it takes about 450 years to break down in nature, which is a lot. And its melt temperature is around 260, 280 Celsius degrees. Considering these data, we can relate these data with the impact on the marine ecosystems of both the cities of Venice and New York. For example, if you consider that in New York, the amount of plastic, the rate of plastic pollution is about 80%, and in Venice is also 70%. These are really concerning data.
And then also relating to the water quality, we observed specifically during the lockdown. So in the Hudson River and in the Lagoon of Venice during the lockdown, there was a decrease in commuters and a stop of tourism, which led to a decrease in maritime traffic and public transportation. So for the Hudson, this led in a decrease of 40% in turbidity. Due to this, the water was able to settle, and some trash and obstacles that could have been in the way of sunlight generally dispersed. So it was able to reach further depths in the water to benefit the marine ecosystem. But at the same time, they found that there was an increase in pharmaceutical products and COVID-related items, such as masks or gloves found in the Hudson River.
Then we decided to focus on the chemical substances coming from the industrial waste, both industrial waste and civil waste. For example, in the city of New York, it is cadmium to be one of the most dangerous and effective chemical substances. It basically comes from the corrosion of water pipes as well as industrial discharges, and these can lead to nausea, vomiting, and other damages to liver, for example, and PCBs, which are man-made organic from dumping toxic chemicals from the 20th century. They're very dangerous because they can lead to different kinds of cancer, for example. In Venice, instead, we found that the most concerning chemical substance is FAS. FAS are based on bonds between carbon and fluorine, and they're very difficult to break down. They come both from civil and agricultural discharges, and they're really damaging for the immune, endocrine, and metabolic system.
We continued our research on water pollution, but this time acoustic pollution in the water. So to start, we wanted to see the amount of ships that travel through New York Harbor and the Venetian Lagoon. And so about 90% of all of our goods travel by ship. And these ships create a lot of noise, such as their turbines, engines, and their horns. And this sound underwater will travel about 4.5 times faster and 60 times farther than it could in the air. This causes a lot of problems for the marine life in the area because these sounds could cause them extreme stress, which could lead to health complications for the fish. It could also inhibit them from traveling to certain areas where they would be able to maybe mate or catch their food.
So here we come to the conclusions. During our research, we learned 3 different things. Since our research is very broad and it covers a lot of topics regarding the main theme, which is waste management and pollution. First of all, we would need to consider not only a scientific, so biological, chemical, or physical field, but also social and politics point of views. Second of all, we would need a lot more data in order to reach a complete research. And this brings us to more information, which also brings us to an holistic approach we have to take in order to solve all of these problems, which are very concerning for the environment as well as for our health with this holistic approach, and to solve them step by step.
So thank you for listening, and thank you from Georgia and I and the rest of our class for having us here. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. Next, I would like to introduce a friend of the Lassetti Foundation, Mr. Bill Messina from Brazil, who will be introducing 2 schools, one of which is in São Paulo, or I apologize, I believe Serra Negra, and the other one is in the Amazons. Bill, would you like to take a few minutes or a few moments?
Yes, thank you very much. It's an honor, pleasure to be able to participate in this presentation today. And just to give a little bit of a background of myself, I, in the 1970s, participated in one of the first courses in ecology in Fairleigh Dickinson University in Teaneck, New Jersey. And at that time, it was something new. And actually, we did a study on the Hackensack River that ran right through the campus. And at that time, it was something to start awareness of ecology and the problems. And we did have effects on that. The Hackensack River now is much better and less polluted. But this Lassetti Foundation has taken a great initiative of what they're doing. What we'll have here, and I hope the videos were done because or got to be placed properly, because both of the participants of schools were not able to participate live, and so they sent videos. One is here in Serra Negra, Brazil, which is a city that's in the mountains outside the city of São Paulo. The other one basically is not in the Amazon, but they're actually a little bit outside of Serra Negra, but their participation is to talk about the Amazon. If we can present the videos now, I would thank you.
Boa tarde, meu nome é Laís Dalari e eu sou a presidente do Interact Clube de Serra Negra.
Boa tarde, me chamo Maria Eduarda Sinato, sou protocolo Interact e representante do Colégio Reino de Educação Básica.
E nós estamos aqui hoje para conscientizar a todos sobre as queimadas no estado de São Paulo.
No Brasil, temos 9 biomas principais, sendo o maior deles a Amazônia, no norte, e o Pantanal sendo o menor, no oeste do país. No estado de São Paulo, temos 2 biomas, a Mata Atlântica e o Cerrado, e logo mais trataremos desses 2.
No ano de 2021, foram registrados mais de 5.000 focos de incêndio. Só no mês de agosto foram apontados 2.000 focos. sendo o maior número de incêndios registrados em um mês nos últimos 10 anos.
A Mata Atlântica tem 200.205 km² atualmente, e é um dos biomas que mais sofreu com desmatamento no país. Está localizado no oeste do estado. Em 2021, foram relatados 11.462 focos de incêndio. O Cerrado é um bioma tipicamente brasileiro, com 1.910 km², e está localizado no norte do estado. Em 2021, teve quase 7.000 hectares queimados.
Algumas das consequências dessas queimadas são a erosão e a infertilidade do solo, a emissão de gases poluentes que são prejudiciais para a saúde dos seres humanos e contribuem para o aquecimento global, e a destruição dos biomas afetados e da biodiversidade local.
Bom, o intuito da nossa apresentação de hoje era informar a todos sobre as queimadas no país.
Espero que vocês tenham gostado da nossa apresentação.
Good morning everyone, my name is Enzo Quezal Barona, I'm 16 years old and we are part of the Kimari Prep School, which is a program that prepares ourselves to the American University. Currently, we are 12 tennis players working to achieve our goal. Besides that, we participate in the Intract since March 2020. And now we are going to talk about the Amazon situation. Hope you guys enjoy it.
The Amazon is considered the region with the greatest biodiversity in the planet. It is also the largest nature reserve in the world. It is the largest tropical forest in the world with a total of 5.5 million kilometers in extension. More than a half of its vegetation, 61%, is found in Brazilian territory. The Amazon forest has approximately 30,000 species of plants and 2,500 species of large trees. Its vegetation is divided into three: terra firme forest, igapó forest, várzea forest. The animal life found in Amazon rainforest is very diverse. There are many types of reptiles and amphibians, and a wide variety of fish, home to 85% of South American species, in addition to several species of other aquatic and terrestrial mammals, insects and birds, such as jaguars, toucans and macaws. Fires in the Amazon originated in the economic practices developed in the region. It began in the 1930s with agribusiness and agriculture being the main motivating areas of fires.
The fires in Amazon started with the advance of the national farms border. Some governmental policies contribute to this process. An important one was the March to the West in 1930, which contributed to increase the population in the North and Central West region, founding new cities, opening new roads and bringing economic development to these regions, which ended up fermenting the practice of fires. In 1956, the new government launched a plan that contributed to the first step to the country industrialization. In 1967, Manaus Industrial Headquarters was created, bringing a remarkable impact to the Amazon region, considering the region counts on a wide variety of available resources. Much of the environmental devastation that has occurred in the forest is caused by fires. The consequences of fires in the Amazon might vary from the aspects of the natural environment and planetary balance as well. Some immediate consequences are erosion and ground worsening, elimination of local biodiversity, circulation of superficial water decrease, change in temperature and humidity, and the presence of water vapor in the atmosphere, causing less rain. Emission of polluting gases contribute to global warming and greenhouse effect, global climate change, and respiratory disease.
The Amazon rainforest is daily monitored by satellites, and the National Institute for Space Research helps fighting the fire focus. The graphic shows us an intense and dispiriting situation. Here's the graphic on forest period at the North region. The graphic show any intensive increase of Amazon forest from the beginning of the 21st century, with more than 100,000 fire focus in 2002 and doubled this number 2 years later. In 2005, there was a peak in numbers of fires, which meant 160,000 focus in the rainforest. In 2010, the number were also scaring, with more than 130,000 focus in the region. But in 2011, a balance in this number starts to happen. The fires in the legal Amazon were at an average of 50,000 per year. The main products coming from the Amazon forest are açaí, cashew, buriti, soursop, among others. Some products taken from the forest are used to raw materials for medicine and beauty materials, while other products as açaí have been used in domestic market to make ice cream and exports to Europe as well.
Our actions increasingly interfere in the Amazon. Economic forces, market forces, and the advance of infrastructure have caused major impacts on the forest areas. Economic development often overlaps with other concerns, such as the environment. The future of the Amazon may depend on a third development path based on technological innovation, basic knowledge, and biological diversity. This project is based on building some sites in the forest to be used as research centers, like it has been done in Silicon Valley, California. In recent years, the forest has suffered major fires and deforestation, which can break its environmental balance with no turning back. To help to save the Amazon, it is important to be updated with its history and latest news so that we can act. There are some helpful actions to start making a difference. Tree plantation, consumption awareness, and deforestation reduction are just a few tips you can do to help, besides searching and reposting secure data as well.
in the north and the Pantanal. In the state of Sao Paulo, we have two biomes, the Atlantic Forest and Cerrado, but we will address those in a moment. There were more than 5,000 forest fires in 2021. More than 2,000 forest fires were reported in just the month of August, the largest number of fires for that month in the last 10 years. The Atlantic rainforest currently consists of 200,205 square kilometers, and it's one of the biomes most affected by the forest fire. It is located to the east of the state. In 2021, there were 11,462 forest fires. The Cerrado is a biome unique to Brazil and consists of 1,910 square kilometers located in the north of the state. Approximately 7,000 hectares of that habitat were burned in 2021. Some of the effects of these forest fires include soil erosion, adverse impact on soil fertility, emission of toxic gases, which are harmful to the death of humans, and contribute to climate change and the destruction of the local flora and fauna. The objective of our presentation was to inform you of the forest fires in our country. We hope that you have enjoyed our presentation. Thank you. Dr. Lassetti, if you would like to join me on the podium.
Okay, our next presentation event is from Watchung Valley Regional High School, and we'll have a very interesting talk with a world-famous environmental photographer, Enzo Baracco, whom the students have interviewed. So if we can get on with that, come on screen, Patty Grinther. We get her on. Are you there, Patty?
Yes, thank you,
Yes.
Silvio.
There she is.
Welcome. Okay, sorry, technical glitch. I want to thank you, Silvio. I want to thank the administration of our school for facilitating this, our IT department, our PAC technicians. I want to also thank my outstanding colleagues from Sciences, Marissa Walsh and Kathy Haynes, and naturally all of these amazing students, 4 from Italian classes and 4 from science classes. The students will now take over the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Gunther. Watchung Hills Regional High School, located in Warren, New Jersey, was fortunate to have the opportunity to interview renowned climate activist and photographer Enzo Baracco. Environmental students first discussed Baracco's work in class and then formulated questions to ask him for the interview that you were about to see. Italian students then translated these questions, interviewed Baracco, and translated his answers. Through this collaboration, we were able to learn more about him and his work, which bridges the intersections of environmentalism and art.
This intersection allows the issue of climate change to reach a broader audience and invoke a sense of urgency. Initially a fashion photographer, Enzo Baracco decided to shift his work to focus on the environment. Baracco's most prominent project, The Noise of Ice, is a collection of photographs from Antarctica that serves to highlight and bring attention to the climate crisis.
These issues are important to students like us because the planet is ours to inherit, so it's up to us to push for change. Sustainable fashion, an issue that much of Baracco's work relates to, is especially important because of the fashion industry's disproportionate impacts on the planet and its importance in our daily lives. Now, we'll hand it off to Mr. Baracco and the Italian language students from Watchung Hills to find out more about his work.
Che cosa ti ha ispirato di cambiare il tuo campo di lavoro dalla moda al campo ambientale?
Dalla natura è stata sempre la mia prima fonte di ispirazione. Il passaggio decisamente dalla moda a progetti ambientali è avvenuto quando ho conosciuto l'esploratore Ernest Shackleton e attraverso le sue avventure, la sua storia, sono stato talmente ispirato da creare un progetto in Antartica e da allora faccio solo progetti legati ai temi ambientali.
Sì, chi è il Shackleton?
Ernest Shackleton era un esploratore che più di 100 anni fa ha fatto una spedizione in Antartica e ha avuto una grandissima disavventura perché la sua nave è stata schiacciata dal ghiaccio in Antartica. Quindi se tu pensi l'Antartica 100 anni fa, più di 100 anni fa, era come lo spazio adesso, era l'ultima frontiera. Ma nonostante tutto, nonostante lui ha perso la nave, è riuscito con grande coraggio e determinazione a portare tutti i 28 membri dell'equipaggio sani e salvi a Londra. Quindi questa storia di grande coraggio e determinazione appunto mi ha ispirato a fare il progetto dell'Antartica.
Benissimo.
Quanto è importante trovare dei punti di incontro tra la moda e l'ambiente?
Secondo me è molto importante trovare punti di contatto tra la moda e l'ambiente, perché la moda ha un potere di comunicazione molto forte, molto importante. E quindi credo che potrebbe essere un perfetto strumento per comunicare i temi ambientali. E credo molto che nelle nuove tecnologie e nei nuovi materiali possono dare una mano alle case di moda per comunicare il loro impegno in maniera sostenibile e utilizzare la natura solo come fonte di ispirazione.
Qual è stato il viaggio che ha avuto l'impatto maggiore su di te e come ha influenzato il tuo lavoro quel viaggio?
Ci sono stati tanti viaggi che hanno influenzato la mia vita e il mio lavoro, ognuno in maniera diversa, ma decisamente il viaggio che ha avuto maggiore impatto nella mia vita e nel mio lavoro è stato il viaggio che ho fatto in Antartica. Mi ha reso evidente la potenza e la fragilità della natura e inoltre mi ha fatto capire come tutto sia connesso nel mondo naturale. Un evento che accade nel deserto del Sahara in Africa influenza a migliaia di chilometri di distanza un posto nel mezzo dell'Oceano Pacifico. Tutto è collegato. Sul mio lavoro ha avuto un impatto molto importante perché ho cambiato carriera subito dopo il viaggio che ho fatto in Antartica, quindi dalla moda sono passato a creare progetti ambientali. E il nostro ambiente naturale in questo momento è in crisi, quindi è un mio grande privilegio che il mio lavoro faccia parte di questa conversazione per attenzionare l'opinione pubblica ai temi ambientali.
Sì, e tutte le foto sono bellissime.
Grazie.
Prego.
Quali sono le emozioni che vorresti provocare alla gente che vede le tue opere?
Quando la gente vede le mie opere, spero che i miei lavori creino una curiosità, innescano una sorpresa, sperando di creare un nuovo dialogo con la natura. Io credo che ognuno di noi abbia il dovere di fare qualcosa per il nostro ambiente naturale, ognuno nelle proprie capacità e abilità. Io lo faccio attraverso la fotografia perché la fotografia non ha bisogno di traduzione.
As students who are passionate about the climate, it is essential to find intersectionality, just as Baracco did. Intersectionality, as defined by scholar and activist Kimberly Crenshaw, bridges a vast range of issues from climate change to racial injustices and women's rights. It is important to keep this value in mind when embarking on a journey as an activist, and we are thankful to Watching Hills and Enzo Baracco for having given us the opportunity to do so.
With classes like environmental science, ecology, and marine biology that teaches the fundamentals of the science driving climate research, and classes like social justice, African American studies, providing us with powerful social context, we have the power and resources to use our voices to stand up for our passions and drive change.
Justice Shackleton, whose, fun fact, long-lost ocean exploration vessel was actually just found, influenced Baracco to be an advocate for our planet. We are likewise inspired by Baracco's incredible work and hope he galvanizes you to find your voice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that wonderful presentation. I would also like to take a moment to introduce two students from Marco Polo. We look forward to your presentation.
Hi, can you hear us?
Yes, we can.
Okay, we have to share the screen. I'll try to.
All right, let me just say that this is the Marco Polo School in Venice, and they are going to present from Venice on the various issues that confront them at this point. They are a special school. Art, classics, and music are basically their three most important curriculums. I had hoped maybe they would do some music scores for the whole program, but we didn't get that far with them. But let's hear what they have to say. Ladies, thank you, and you can begin.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Viola. And I'm Greta. We are from Marco Polo High School, as we already said. We live in Venice, and today we want to talk about the high tide issue that affects our city. That is, as you know, Venice, a small city in the north of Italy. Yeah, we can start.
So yeah, we are lucky enough to be here today to speak for our school and our city. As you probably all know, Venice is an incredible one-of-a-kind city. It's full of art and beauty in every corner, and it can be considered as a worldwide heritage. And for this reason, we think that it's yours as well. We are here today because we are citizens of the same world, and the world needs us, and also Venice needs us. Can you see the presentation?
That it's going, not only the first page.
I don't think so. Okay. Can you see now?
Yes, we can see. You can move.
Okay. Yeah, we were seeing also this, but this is Venice.
Oh, well, we're getting something.
Yeah. Okay. Everyone knows Venice for its breathtaking buildings and artworks, and of course for its canals and gondole, as we can see in the pictures. But what many people don't know is that Venice is not just an island, but it is part of a bigger reality, the Venice Lagoon. There is a whole ecosystem that needs to be preserved in Venice. And there are many species of animals and plants that live in the canals and in the lagoon.
Yeah, unfortunately, nowadays, this biodiversity is threatened by the human's impact on the local environment. And also extreme natural events have increased dramatically in the last 20 years, especially. As a coastal area, Venice is particularly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. The risks caused by floods, as well as those of extreme events, are expected to increase, with negative consequences on the economy, the health of the population, and also the medium-long-term safety of the city. The temperature is going to increase in the next few years, and it will have a serious global environmental impact. As you can see from the graph, the black thick line shows that in the last 30 years, the temperature has already increased a lot in Venice, and I think also globally.
Yeah. Also, a recent study by CMCC, that's a center on that studies climate change, shows that in the Italian region where Venice is located, Veneto, by 2100, the temperature will increase up to 5 degrees in summer and autumn, and up to 4 degrees in winter and spring, if we don't act like there is an urgent event going on. On the other hand, the scenario with climate policies shows similar variation for all seasons, with increases of about 2 degrees over 100 years.
Yeah, we know that if the temperature increases, water particles expand their volume, causing the growth of sea level. And the growth of sea level is associated to another issue in Venice, the sinking of the ground that is taking place, which is also known as subsidence. As you can see in the picture, the soil on which Venice is built is now sinking because of the extractions of gas and liquids that are being made. Combining the growth of sea level and the subsidence, we understand that Venice is going to be slowly submerged. According to the latest studies, by 2100, the sea level in Venice will grow up to 120 centimeters, which means that we won't be able to walk in the streets anymore, and even to live in the houses on the ground floor.
In addition to that, Venice has also another issue, the high tide, as we were saying before. As far as alluvial events are concerned, the overlapping of the effects of intense meteorological events associated with specific wind direction is extremely critical, because it leads to violent and more frequent storms, and therefore to the persistence of high water levels in the lagoon.
Yeah, and usually the variation of the tide is regulated by the moon's gravitational pull. But when the tide variation is influenced by other meteorological factors, it can reach a higher level and it can persist in the lagoon. flooding the city and causing damage to local businesses and to our ancient buildings. The water level is constantly increasing due to the combined effect of the subsidence and the global rise in sea level. This has determined a greater frequency of high water events in the past decade, as you can see from the graph. For this reason, it is important that the number of extreme climatic phenomena that can cause high tides do not increase.
In November 2019, there was the second highest high tide ever registered in Venice, after the one in 1966, as you can see in the black and white pictures from that year. There was a very bad flood caused by a combination of seasonal high tide and a violent storm driven by a hot wind from the south called Scirocco, blowing northeastwards across the Adriatic Sea in 2019. The tide reached a maximum peak of 187 centimeters above sea level. We remember that night, and what scared us the most was the noise of the wind and the water that was rising without stopping in front of our eyes. Anyways, when it's not extreme, the high tide is not a huge problem, and we think that it can also be considered as a part of the beauty of Venice, which has learned how to cope with it as a city. Actually, we found some pictures about the high tide, and also we came across the photo of our school with the high tide problem.
Yeah, when there is the high tide, there's the high tide in front of our school. This is the situation that we face when we are walking to school. So it's pretty annoying, but it's still beautiful in our opinion. And furthermore, the cyclic rise and fall of the tide vivifies the shallow lagoon water, creating grassy areas, locally known as barene, which are one of the most peculiar environments of the lagoon and a marvelous example of animal and plant biodiversity. These salt marshes are also natural barriers for the city. Indeed, without them, the islands would break down much faster because of the wave motion.
What has been done so far to protect the city from high tide is a movable barrier called MOSE. This project took a long time to be made and a lot of money, and now that it's finished, some problems have emerged. First of all, pulling it up, it's really expensive. So when they have to do it, because the tide is too high, they also keep it up for a while so that they don't have to do that twice in case of a double emergency. This brings us to the second problem. The lagoon needs a water exchange to live and to preserve itself, and so we cannot keep a barrier up for a long time. A third problem also is that there are not enough capitals for the maintenance of this barrier. We are not experts, but we know that because of these three simple reasons, we cannot count on the MOSE forever. This consequently is not the solution.
Yeah, and however, we know that the MOSE project has been designed after the big high tide in 1966. So it's clear that the people in the 70s didn't have the same sensitivity and awareness that we have nowadays towards the climate and environmental issue. For this reason, we think that another project should be made, but this time a progressive one, with a different attention to the preservation of the local environment.
Given that Venice is not an easy city to urbanize, because there are many rules to follow before renovating or building anything, both for aesthetic and territorial reasons, we still have to try to find a solution. For instance, as far as the high tide and the water motion are concerned, we think that it could be a good idea to aim for the conservation of the barene, the salt marshes that we were talking about before. In addition to being an important barrier for the islands, the barene mitigate the global climate change by absorbing the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and naturally clean the water of the lagoon from pollutants. Therefore, they should be defended and used in our favor.
Yeah, so to conclude, we think that the effective solution would be maturing a sense of collective awareness and a desire to do something. We have understood that it always seems that there are more urgent problems than the climate change to think about. But the truth is that there is no point in solving them if there is no longer a planet to live on. Greta Thunberg once said, "I want you to act as if the house is on fire, because it is." And we want to bring the same message today. because we will not deal with the climate change issue with the right urgency until we understand that even if we don't see it, our world is on fire and we are all threatened.
There are many other factors that are damaging our city, Venice, but we choose to talk about the high tide because maybe it is the most urgent one.
Yeah. So thank you for the attention.
Yeah, this is it. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies, for an excellent presentation on my favorite city. Anna Valeria, thanks to students. And now this will be our last presentation. It is by Dr. Claudia Piñata. She will speak about a new program, relatively new program, that Venice is promoting to the world. It's a program that encourages entrepreneurship on a small scale to begin with, that offers premiums and prizes and some startup money so that corporations might begin to work on solutions that pertain to Venice and its manifold problems. So we have here Dr. Claudia Piñata, and she will conclude our program by explaining what I think is a truly significant opportunity for many small school programs to get involved in what we would call business entrepreneur workshops. So Claudia, thank you.
Thank you for introducing me. So good morning to everybody. It's almost the end of my working day here in Italy, and it's the most challenging speech as the last one for you guys. I think that you are a little bit tired. I'll try and say some interesting things and show some interesting images to you. So just to start with, I will show you a short video. Hope it works, the audio as well. Okay, now I'm pretty sure you saw it, okay?
We did.
Great, sorry for the delay. Don't want you to waste your time, guys. So my name is Claudia. I work at Ca' Foscari University. So I'm an older colleague of your students' mate in Venice. And I'm working on this acceleration program to help Venice to recover herself from some of its problems. But we studied a lot the history of the city, and we realized that it has a very deep and strong history of innovation. So as you grabbed from the video, it's not only a matter of environmental sustainability, but as well of social sustainability and economic business sustainability. Just to give you some examples, the first woman who ever got a degree, she was a Venetian woman. She actually went to university in Padua, as university in Venice didn't exist in those years, but she was the first woman who ever got a degree. Then we have the first quarantine hospital, as you probably know, and quarantine is a Venetian word used to tell about the 40 days you need to stay away from people when you suffer from a very strong illness. And even the word ciao, probably you know, it's the Italian hello. Ciao comes from a Venetian word. So it's a cultural matter of innovation, social, and so on. The first NGOs were built in Venice. We call them schools, like Scuola della Misericordia, Scuola Grande di San Rocco. They were institutions where you could give money to help people, poor people, ill people, children with no parents. And these institutions collected all this money and spent them to help people in the city. So Venice deserves to keep on in this innovation future, and that's why our payoff is Venice, the oldest city of the future. So what we tried and did with Professor Carlo Bagnoli, as a professor at Ca' Foscari University, was to find new ideas to help the city to go on and avoid a destiny of a deserted Disneyland or amusement park, because sometimes tourists, well, very often, not sometimes, they come here to the city, they spend a day, they watch it like being like in Disneyland, and then they leave, leaving rubbish around the streets that we call calle, and forgetting about the problems the city has. So we launched a call for ideas last May, and from 28 countries around the world, 13 ideas, innovation, sustainable ideas, sent their application to our university to say, okay, I can help. And these ideas were about waste management, about the collection of old solar panels, about delivering food in a city with no cars and no bikes. So think about ordering food at your home and imagine a man running or walking to take the food hot to your place. So actually, these very big number of ideas were great ideas, and the way we had them was to collaborate, to co-innovate on these ideas with big companies, names that you probably don't know if I tell you them, but the result was to get startups to come to the city, live in the city, spend their spare time, their free time in the city, and understand and see that Venice is not a known city, at least. Actually, it can be very amazing, even in the night. It can be amazing during the day. No cars, no noises. You can work. You have a Wi-Fi connection all over the city. So you can either be a smart worker, a professional, or a student from abroad living here for a short or medium-term period. It's such an interesting experience when you live once in Venice and all those startups brought back to their countries an idea about Venice as a possible place where to develop a business. So actually, I don't know how much you know about the startup world, because it's a pretty peculiar world where you have to work not only on your how can I say it, on your desire to do something innovative, but sometimes you need a technician to work with you. I mean, you don't have to be only a manager, but you have to find a very high-tech solution for a problem. So we got these teams made up of let's say, a manager, like an administrator, a CEO, and then an engineer working on mainly on digital ideas, and then a marketing manager to help communicate and work on the spreading of the idea around the world. And this helps me tell you something about the meaning of Venice, because it's not only a matter of testing ideas in the city. Believe me that the city is an island, as some of the students said, but it's very small. 5 square kilometers large, and the population is less than 50,000 inhabitants. It means that if you try and test an idea in the city, it's really simple to get results. If you go to New Delhi or Canberra in Australia, it's much more difficult to test an innovative idea. But despite this, if you do something in Venice, it has a global meaning, because when something happens here, it has a global resonance around the world. You saw in the video the Banksy murale, the painting on a wall. Everybody knows that that picture is in Venice, but I don't know in what cities other Banksy's paintings are, and I'm pretty sure you don't know as well. So the point is that everything you do in Venice can be very easily communicated around the world and get attention from people, because it is a very small city with a very big problems that other sister cities have around the world. Amsterdam, Alexandria of Egypt, New Orleans in the States. So many cities suffering from flooding, suffering from climate change problems. And we usually say that once you solve the problem in Venice, it's solved in other places in the world. So, sorry, there is a question, I think. Can you share the link to the Venetia project? Yes, sure. It's venetia.org. Let me post it. Okay, this is the website. The website actually is a website for startups, so you will find information about how to apply to the project and other information for partners and so on. But there is the video as well. There are pictures of our team, and I don't know how many minutes I have left, but I can give you another interesting information. I am involving students from Ca' Foscari University to work on this project, not only as startuppers, because I mean, not all of us are startups and have great ideas, but I want them to be part of the project and help it to be developed. So they work on the marketing side, they work on the scouting of ideas, they get credits for the activities they develop, of course, but they are part, first of all, of such an interesting project that we are developing for the benefit of the whole world. So, Silvia, I'm not sure how much time.
Well, we're about done now. So I want to thank you very much for this very enlightening program that's going to be with us for a while. And as you say, I hope it involves some of the American colleges who have these kinds of startup entrepreneurial courses. Our students here are a bit too young to be involved in that kind of thing, but a lot of them are technical students who want engineering, and so I imagine you'll get some of this in the future.
I'd love to.
Thank you very much. And now let me conclude the program. I can't thank everybody who participated in it. I'd never get done. And I can't thank everybody who helped out, because I'd never get done. You see what went into this. You 12 students here are a smaller part of a large group that maybe is 100 people, maybe more. I don't know. I can't, as the central hub of this, I can't keep track of everything. But I certainly extend my sincere appreciation from the latest people in Venice and the hosts at the Meadowlands Convention Center, to the very earliest people that I began discussing this with back in September. So I thank you all. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you made something of this time. And if any of you have anything you want to talk to me about, particularly the people here in New Jersey, you can get my email address from your teachers. So we conclude the program and we go about our business, but let's not forget, let's do something to help the earth. Thank you. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the students in Italy for staying up so late.
Yeah.
Grazie Venezia, ciao.
Thank you very much.
Are you actually from the school?
Thank you.
Are you? Thank you, Scuola d'Italia. Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Bye.
Brazil. Bye. And Greta, are you actually in the school, in the Marco Polo?
Yes.
Yeah. Ah, okay. So that used to be my office. That was my office for a number of years. I thought you were there. Okay. Thank you so much for your beautiful presentation and for taking part in this project. Thank you so much. And thank you, Carla, as well, Carla Toffolo, for making this possible. Thank you. Bye.